Welcome to the Standings, the sports show where we review the sports standings except we're sitting. I'm Daniel and I'm joined by Jane today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are going to dive into lots of sports today. We got NBA, NHL, of course NFL, and a little bit of college football in here. But let's start with the NFL and start with this segment that's called Lombardi Line, where we tell you, are these teams in the Super Bowl bubble or not? The first team being the New England Patriots. Are they in your Super Bowl bubble?
I have to say 100%. They're on a 7-game winning streak, and they're playing the Jets next time, so they're probably going to win. I think you can't count them out yet. They're going strong so far. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be Super Bowl 2026 contenders.
I have to agree with you, and I think a big change that happened was Mike Vrabel becoming their head coach. This isn't really a flashy team as far as we see with players like Drake May. We've got Ramondre Stevenson. You're finally getting Trayvon Henderson going on the ground to become the number one rushing offense in the league. That's the real interesting part about this team. And then their defense as well, playing very good. They'll probably have a big statement win against the Jets to improve to 9-2 and maybe take care of the AFC. If they are the one seed headed into these playoffs, they are in great position to make the Super Bowl with how Drake May's playing right now. Let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think?
So I definitely would have to say yes. They have a bunch of heavy hitters right now. Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren's having a great rookie season so far. And, of course, they have quarterback Daniel Jones, who I'm not going to say he's carrying, but he does contribute a lot to their wins, and he's almost like their secret weapon right now. If you watch the Colts play, you see that they have a lot of cohesion at the moment, good chemistry on the field, and they have a good season record so far to back this up. So I don't think they should be counted out yet.
I actually think they do. I have to disagree with you, and just for the reason of Daniel Jones, he was playing very good in the beginning of the season. I'll give him that, but these last two games where he's had 6 turnovers and could have had more if there was more fumble recoveries, I think they had 3 that they recovered. So that could have been 9 turnovers in these last 2 or 3 game stretches that he's had. I think the Colts are headed in the wrong direction, and you can't rely on Jonathan Taylor every game to carry you. He's been phenomenal this season. He could be in the MVP conversation, absolutely in the Offensive Player of the Year conversation, but the Colts right now just aren't a reliable team, and it's because of Daniel Jones. The defense is playing great, but their secondary scares me. The offensive line's playing great. Jonathan Taylor's playing great. I don't know what to think about this Colts team, though. Let's move to the Buccaneers, Super Bowl contenders.
I'm going to say no just because, well, they had a strong beginning of the season, falling short in recent weeks. The games they lost, they probably should have won. However, the games they won, they have dominated the field, so hopefully they could keep this up, but I honestly don't really see that happening.
A really hard 3-game stretch on their schedule that they just ran into. So now they have to play the Bills, and then after that they get to play the Rams. That is not good and can end you at 6-6 when you're already past the midway point of the season. They'll probably capture their division. They'll probably get a good opponent to play in the playoffs, whoever that may be. But if they match up with somebody like the Rams, say the Seahawks win the division, or they match up with the Seahawks, I probably wouldn't take them right now, and I think their cap is probably the second round right now. Let's move to the Seattle Seahawks. Let's talk about them. Are they in your Super Bowl bubble?
Definitely. They always make it pretty far into the playoffs, especially in recent years. I don't see why this year would be any different. Only lost 2 games this season. Huge score gap in the games that they won. And because of this, I think they're 100% Super Bowl 2026 contenders.
I can't deny that they are right now. I have to agree with you. The Seahawks look really good, and Sam Darnold looks really good. Last game, he didn't have to do a lot, so we're just going to take that out of the conversation. But in all the other games this season, he's looked like how he did in the regular season with the Vikings. What scares me is in the playoffs how he will perform. That Seahawks defense looks way better than that Vikings defense did last year, so I think getting the ball out of his hands and using that strategy they used last game against the Cardinals is the way that they make the Super Bowl. It's the same way they did with Russell Wilson so long ago where he didn't have to throw the ball a ton. I think they could get back. That has been Lombardi Line, where we talked about the Super Bowl, the teams that are in the Super Bowl bubble. We are going to head to Sam and Jay next for the Award Watch.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Sam, and I'm joined by Jane today, and we are going to be talking about Award Watch with the NFL, so we're going to talk about some awards, and we're going to give our guesses on which player we think is going to win. So, MVP, Jane, who do we think?
Saquon Barkley. I watch him and I think Eagles are a good team, but they would not be where they are right now if it weren't for Saquon Barkley. I don't know how he wasn't won MVP before. I know he's been a contender for it. Each year he keeps getting better and better. He shows up, gets the job done, and makes it look effortless while doing it. What do you think?
Well, as an Eagles fan, I have to say I love your take on that. He is such an amazing player, but I'm going to go a little bit to the side, and I'm going to talk about Drake May from the Patriots. Now, the reason I say this is because it's only his second year playing, and he's playing at an MVP level, I think. He's boosting an average high of 74.1 completion percentage and 116.9 passer rating, allowing the Patriots to climb right up that ladder to the top of the AFC East. All right, moving on to the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who do we think for that?
Definitely Jackson Dart. I know the Giants haven't been doing that well this year, but despite this, Jackson Dart keeps shining through as an amazing player. He's an outstanding team leader, and they really need it right now. And one thing I noticed, whenever he gets injured, that's when the Giants get a blowout in the fourth quarter. So I think same thing with Saquon. I don't think he carries the team, but he is one of the bigger reasons why they get far when they do.
It's actually funny you say that because I did have him originally, and then I ended up deciding to go with Emeka Egbuka of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I went with him because this is his first year with Florida, and he's actually been killing it. He's had 3 separate games with over 100 yards, which includes one of his most recent games against the Patriots. And if all goes well, he'll end up sailing over 1,000 yards mark and eclipse double-digit touchdowns on a team primed to win the NFC South for the 5th year in a row, which would be huge, so that's why I'm giving that to him. Now, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who do we think for that one?
Another Eagles player, Jahad Campbell. He's a tough player. He's a great asset to the Eagles team this season. He's when I watch him, I'm like, yeah, he's a really athletic player, if that makes sense at all. He works well with seasoned players, and he's been improving every week, and is always, this past season, a huge contributor to Eagles wins. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one as well, just being a fellow Eagles fan. But for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Carson Schweizinger. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong, but he's coming off of one of his most personal games of the season. I mean, just recently, he racked up 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits, and a half a sack against the Jets. So for this season, he leads the team with 74 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback hits, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, and 1 pass deflection in just 9 games. Very impressive defensive work, I think. All right, and finally, who is going to be our comeback player of the year?
So I know he hasn't officially come back yet, but I have to say Joe Burrow. He's been back at practice this week. He says he hopes to play in the Bengals Thanksgiving Day game against the Ravens. He's won comeback player of the year twice before in 2021 and 2024. I have no doubt that he's going to come back to play this game against the Ravens in 2 weeks, pick up right where he left off. He's a great player. I love watching him. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that take. I think he is a great player, and I did see him win it the last couple years. But for my take, I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers. Now, the reason I'm choosing this is because last year he only played 4 games before he ended his season with a serious knee injury. So now he's coming back with, leading the NFL team and carrying in 6 weeks. And he is also rushing 596 yards. He's also doing 4 rushing yard touchdowns, 626 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns on the season. So I think that's pretty offensive work. That's definitely going to be, considered comeback material. And now we're going to head to Nev and Ella with some keys on college football.
I'm Nevia, and I'm joined here by Ella, and welcome to Game Grip, where we'll be talking about these key games for college football. First, let's talk about Texas. What's your Game Grip?
I think on the Texas and Georgia game, we're really going to have to focus on Texas's ability to slow Georgia's ground game and force these third down stops, protection, and quick pass rhythm to counter Georgia's offense. I think early run defense for Georgia in the first 2 or 3 drives would be a key to this game if they want to win.
I definitely agree. I think if Texas can protect the quarterback and get the run game going, it opens up big explosive play that they love. Next, we have Notre Dame versus Pitt. So what do you think, Ella?
I think Notre Dame has to have ball security early in the game and avoid these negative plays that they've been getting really often in this season. Balance the attack to keep Pittsburgh on their toes and to control tempo in this game. I think that's what Notre Dame needs in this game to win.
Notre Dame definitely needs a fast start. They're leaning on the run game a lot, which will help them control their pace. I think for Pitt, third downs are everything. They need to extend the drives and take some deep shots to test Notre Dame's secondary. Next up, we have Alabama versus Oklahoma. This will be an interesting game. What do you think, Ella?
I think Alabama has to win the line of scrimmage early in the game and establish their run game to protect QB against Oklahoma's pressure. This tempo management needs to be on point for this game. How Alabama handles Oklahoma's speed and defense is definitely going to be a deciding factor within who wins this game.
Definitely. I think that the quarterback of Alabama definitely needs to be smart with the ball, no unnecessary turnovers, and the defense has to limit Oklahoma's speed. Specifically for Oklahoma, playing fast will throw off Alabama's rhythm, and defensively, they got to bottle up those explosive runs that Alabama thrives on. Next up, we have Iowa and USC. What do you think about that one?
I think that we have to have compact, precise passing to move against USC's secondary, clock management, and field position to control limit USA's big play potential. Their ability to sustain drives and play action is just incredible, and Iowa's safety depth and over-the-top defense needs to be on point for this game. Their defense needs to be doing what it has to do, and the special teams' impact on the field is definitely something to look at for this game.
Yes, now definitely. Iowa doesn't need to blitz a ton on their front. They can get pressure on their own, and then I would say for USC on defense, forcing Iowa into obvious passing situations gives USC the perfect edge. That was all for Game Grip. Next up will be Dan joining Ella for a game day forecast.
Welcome to Game Day Forecast. I'm joined here by Dan, and we're going to be looking at some point spreads for the NFL this week. Let's start off with the Bills, who are favored 5.5 versus the Buccaneers.
Yeah, so I think the Buffalo Bills had a devastating loss at the hands of my Miami Dolphins. It was a great win for us, but actually I really didn't want them to win because now they have a worse draft pick. Anyways, let's talk about the Bills and how they're facing the Buccaneers. The Bills were off a devastating loss, and I think Josh Allen just tried to do a little too much in that game, which forced them to lose. But I think this is the perfect game to bounce back, show you're still contenders. You showed it against the Chiefs, you managed yourselves on defense, and were good enough on offense to win. And now you're facing the Buccaneers where you go against Baker Mayfield, and now they get into their 3-game slump of the season where they have to face the Bills and then the Rams next, and they just came off a devastating loss. I think for the Buccaneers, this is most definitely a loss, and it's just because you hit that slump, and I think it just keeps going downhill, and you're not in any urgency to win the division. Buffalo definitely is in urgency to win this division. The Patriots look very good this year. I think they bounce back and get a win.
I think this game we can definitely expect a high-scoring, fast-paced matchup. Both offenses are capable of huge plays, but I have to agree the Bills are taking this win. The Buccaneers just aren't quite at the level that they need to be. I think Tampa Bay will push to stay within the number by converting on third downs and generating a takeaway. All right, let's look at Rams, who are favored 3.5 over the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think for the Rams, this one is a very telling game, and we've said that about many games this season. They had a big statement win over the Niners, but now they face the Seahawks, who are red hot and might look like the best team in the league to some people. I think that Sam Darnold's playing great, that defense is playing great, like I mentioned before, but when we're talking about the Rams, we need to talk about them getting more statement wins, building their resume. Right now, they're the Super Bowl favorites right now. That's kind of wild to say considering the Chiefs still exist, the Bills still exist. There's a Ravens team on the surge who all we would say have better quarterbacks, but Matthew Stafford has looked like the best quarterback in the last 5 weeks with 20 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He looks great. He needs to continue it in this game. We need to see a Rams win, but I'm taking the Seahawks. I think the Rams continue to upset us.
All right, I'm going to see that this game we're going to have a very tight division-style clash. Strong passing games on both ends. I think the Rams cover if they have a turnover battle. They need to execute in crucial moments in the game. Seattle's edge rushing is very, very good, though. So I think I'm going to have to agree with you again about the Seahawks here. All right, next up, we're looking at Broncos, who are plus 3.5 versus the Chiefs.
Yeah, so I think Kansas City is in the part of their season where they're 5-4, and they could be 5-5 after this loss. If you lose this game, you most definitely lose the division to the Broncos. The Broncos being 8-2 right now, they've been the surprise of the season, winning in these one-score games, and I think that's a real tell to who Sean Payton really is and how he's coaching this team up to be better than they actually are. And we said the same thing with Mike Vrabel. I think it's the same situation, and both guys are going to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year at the end of the year. They've surprised us a ton, and I think in this game, they might just disappoint. That offense looked flat last week against the Raiders. Bo Nix did not look good, and I think Patrick Mahomes coming in and saying, hey, I'm the real MVP, I'm the one that owns this division, and we're going to get right back into it.
I totally agree with you. I think Kansas City's high-tempo, fast-paced concepts will affect Denver's physical run approach and their disciplined defense, but I think here the Broncos' coverage is plausible. In a tight loss, I think the Chiefs are going to take it, a likely win here, and Mahomes is going to show what he's made of. I think we all know he's a great quarterback, and he's not here to play this week. Now, lastly, we're looking at the Lions, who are plus 2.5 versus the Eagles.
Yeah, I think this is a game that the Eagles would like to win, but I don't think they are. There's just a lot of pollution in that locker room with the way A.J. Brown's talking right now. And it's really funny because 2 years ago, we were talking about how he might be the best receiver in the league. He had a stretch at this time 2 years ago of 125-plus receiving yard games. And now he's at the point in the season where he doesn't believe he's getting enough targets. He's frustrated with the offense. We've seen the Eagles overcome this before, but I think the Lions are going to come in the building. They're going to score more points. I think the Eagles are going to force the ball to AJ. I think this has come to a climax, and it's to a point where now you need to really make your decision of where your offense is going this season. In the Eagles game that they played against the Packers, the offense didn't really look good. Saquon had that big run. Devontae had that big catch. But other than that, what did we really see from the Eagles?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It hurts my heart to say this, but I think that the Lions are taking this game. Like you said, the locker room stability is not there. A.J. Brown is making some very honest, disrespectful comments about the team. I think that Detroit's ability to protect the football and manage the clock is going to take over this game, and we're not going to see much from Philly at all.
Yeah, don't take him in fantasy this week.
Yeah, right. I was like, what the heck are you even saying? Anyways, that has been Game Day Forecast. Next up, Nev will be joining Dan for Contenders or Pretenders.
Welcome to Contenders or Pretenders. We're talking about the NBA, and I have Nev with me today. How you doing?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Let's get right into it. The Pistons, they're the surprise of the season. They're at 10-2 and atop the East right now. Contenders or Pretenders?
Definitely Contenders. They're defending at a very high level. The young core looks very confident, and they're closing out in some tight games. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I would like to say Contenders, but when it gets to playoff time, this team has to be Pretenders. They're too young. Cade Cunningham is leading the team, and they do look very good. But right now, they're only atop the East because the East has been wide open. It really hasn't had a lot of star power. The Bucks aren't playing to their full potential. The Knicks are playing good, but they could be playing better. I think teams like the Heat being in contention says a lot about the East. I love my Heat, but I don't think they're a very good team. I think the Pistons right now, I think they'll settle down, little medal at the end of the season. They're young. Of course, they're going to have a strong start. Let's go to the next one, that being the Lakers. They are fourth in the West at 8-3. Contenders or Pretenders?
I'm going to go with Contenders. I feel as though as long as their starters stay healthy and they're consistent in their production from the role of their key players, this team is built for the postseason.
Yeah, I think J.J. Redick has been coaching the team very well, but although they are playing well right now, I think they're going to be Pretenders by the end of the season. I think that in the West, it's very competitive right now. The Nuggets are very good, the Spurs are very good, the Thunder are very good, and those three teams to me look like the real contenders, and everybody else kind of just looks like mishmash to me, and that's kind of previewing what I'll say next. But at this point, the Lakers, of course, they look good. They don't have LeBron right now, and they're still 8-3 and fourth in the West. That's the upside. I just don't see them being good in the playoffs, though. Let's move to our last one, that being the Rockets. They are 7-3 and fifth in the West. What do we think?
I'm going to go 3 for 3 with Contenders. I think that the Rockets team is young and explosive, and their growth on defense is very much real.
Yeah, I think they might be Contenders, and it's just because of the offensive firepower of this team. With their starting lineup of KD, Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., Josh Okogie, and Amen Thompson. I think Amen Thompson's having a phenomenal season so far. I think KD is playing his role perfectly on the team by being that midi guy and just taking the right shots at the right time. He doesn't have to be the hero on this team, and I think that's what will carry the Rockets and make it really electric for this team and an exciting season for Rockets fans. I, of course, was wrong about them last year. Hopefully, I'll be right about them this year. That has been Contenders or Pretenders. We'll be moving on to Panic or Patience, where Sam and Ella will tell you everything about every NHL team and if you should panic or have patience.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I am joined by Ella today, and we're going to be talking about Panic or Patience, where we dive into NHL teams and we decide if we're going to panic or be patient. Starting off, the Penguins took a big loss to both the Devils and the Kings over the weekend. Are we panicking or are we going to be patient?
I'm going to have patience for these Penguins with a measured bounce back. I think it's a little panic, a little patient, right in the middle. A 2-game skid against high-caliber opponents is nothing to be afraid of, I think. It's just a short-term surge. They're going to come back. I think the Penguins usually respond with tighter defense structure and improved goaltending support, so I'm not panicking just yet about these Penguins.
I see your point, but I'm going to have to disagree and say I'm panicking. I mean, they took a third loss in 4 games. That's pretty bad. And they're also dealing with lots of injuries right now on their team, as well as the fact they went another game where they let that third period slip, just another opportunity gone. So I'm panicking with them. Moving on to the Maple Leafs losing to the Bruins. Are we going to panic with them or are we going to be patient?
I'm starting to panic. There is concern here. Toronto's response will reveal whether this issue is actually something to panic about. I think losing to a consistently strong Bruins can expose gaps, but I'm still panicking. The Maple Leafs typically adjust, but I'm just not seeing the adjustment that we need just yet. This loss was definitely tough, but I'm definitely panicking now about the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I'm also panicking with this because now their losing streak is up to 3 games. And they also went ahead with this game and they put up another bad start. And as well as the fact they're having goaltending trouble. So there's a lot of areas that need a lot of cleaning up, which is why I am panicking and not being patient with this team. Because we see one mistake turning into 2 or 3 and it just builds up. I think it might be a confidence issue. So that's kind of why I'm panicking. And I think that that losing streak kind of sets the game off of them. And now moving on to the Capitals losing to Lightning. Are we panicking or are we patient?
I'm being patient with the Caps. I think they usually focus on their systematic fixes. They often use these moments to tighten structure rather than overwhelming their team. With the fact that they lost, they tend to weather early season bumps in the road and just be better throughout the later season. I think their forward depth usage, secondary scoring is something they need to work on, but I'm not panicking. I'm being patient here.
You see, I'm going to have to panic yet again, and the reason that I'm panicking again is because this loss adds to the course of their poor record, so they're really not helping the reputation here, right? And at the same time, it demonstrates they have a tough time taking chances, so maybe they'll have an opportunity, and then they kind of ruin it for themselves. So to me, I'm panicking for them. Hopefully they can pick it up. We'll see, but it's not only that, they also have poor power play and penalty kill performances. So maybe they'll be able to clean that up. We'll see. But moving on to our last team, the Flyers took a loss to the Senators. What do we think about that?
I'm only panicking if this loss trend continues. I think otherwise patience is something I'm thinking for this team. Philadelphia has shown resilience in patches, but needs to sustain more quick management and forecheck pressure to create offensive stability. This Flyers team looks pretty good early on, so I'm not panicking just yet, staying patient with the Flyers.
You see, I'm going to be patient with the Flyers because and maybe it's unbiased because I'm from Philadelphia, but I think they have a lot of opportunity here because they usually have a chance to get points and fix the recovering issues. Sometimes they do struggle to get those at-home wins, but I think the energy of Philly will be able to pick them up. I also think that they can have a strong comeback because sometimes they can't seal the deal, but they also have been able to do it. And the Senators just come on stronger, so maybe it could have been that. So I think if the Flyers can kind of build up that confidence, they'll be able to take that win and help everyone be patient with them. All right, that has been Panic or Patience. That has also been our episode of The Standing. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be sure to catch you next time.